Hey, and welcome to the Meditations and Musings podcast. I'm Elena Lipson. I'm a mama, I'm a wife, and I'm the founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle membership and the Virtual Retreat Academy. I don't believe that you have to sacrifice your body, your health, or your family in order to create true abundance and prosperity. I believe in living based on the divine feminine metrics of success, and these include pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. Each week, I'll bring you 1 to 2 new episodes. One of these will be a guided meditation that you don't have to do on the meditation pillow, and the other will be a conversation to help you access your inner wisdom, to ignite abundance, and inspire others to do the same. I invite you to join me on this journey back to the magic of a divinely aligned and well cared for you. And now, join me for today's episode. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Meditations and Musings. This is your host, Elena Lipson, Divine Self-Care Mentor, creator of the Divine Self-Care Circle, the Virtual Retreat Academy, 66 Sacred Rituals, and of course this podcast. So today we're going to be exploring the feminine metrics of feminine leadership through the lens of a sabbatical. And sabbatical might be a term that you've heard in the teaching sphere, but we're going to apply it to leadership today, to current status of women who are creating businesses, leading lives that are rich and full, that are raising families, investing in themselves and in causes they believe in, taking a stand for what they believe in, and doing it in a way that does not require you to sacrifice your mind, body, soul, and spirit. So we're going to be looking at, should you take a weekly sabbatical, and the hows and whys of taking that sabbatical should you choose to do so. First, I wanted to do 2 things. One is to, of course, mention the 66 Sacred Rituals, which is my signature program. It is all about finding ease and grace, joy and pleasure in daily ritual. And so many people ask me, how do I create a ritual? I don't even know where to start. Do I need to go take a course or something? And the answer is yes and no. You don't need to take a course. Rituals are very personal things that you can definitely design yourself. If you want some support around it, I have created the 66 Sacred Rituals to support you on that path. It's a super easy to implement daily ritual program that includes 66 of my most simple, powerful, easy to try, and cherry pick the ones that you love and do them over and over again. It's an audio program, so you can literally listen from your phone wherever you are and just listen to each daily ritual and then go back and listen to them as many times as you want. The feedback has been phenomenal. In fact, I shared one of the rituals in episode number 43, the Yoni breath, which is a ritual that takes a few minutes to do, but energizes you incredibly. And just this morning, I had someone leave a comment saying that this one ritual has opened up so much in terms of how they want to feel, ideas, creativity, abundance, even ideas for how they're calling in their next clients with just ease and joy. They don't have to work for it. It's just coming. So that's the power of the ritual. It just opens you up in new ways. And since you are a so fabulous listener to this podcast, all you need to do to enjoy a $10 coupon off of your Sacred Rituals journey is head on over to elenalipson.com/66 days. And that's it. When you check out, don't forget to use the coupon code. And if you have any questions, just find me on Facebook or Instagram. On Instagram, my handle is Elena_Lipson, and just message me. Let me know, hey, it's not working for me, or we have an issue, and we'll make sure to help you with that right away. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to do that I don't usually do, but I just felt intuitively called to do this, and it's absolutely perfect. I wanted to read you, I have this daily meditations book that one of my dear friends, Shannon, gifted me a couple years back. It's called Journey to the Heart, and the author of it is Melody Beattie. That's Beattie. I will make sure to include that in the show notes. It's an older book. I think it was probably from the 80s, maybe even before that. It's a really beautiful book, and each day has a different meditation, some longer, some shorter. And I felt called to look up today's and to read it to you. I know I haven't done this before, but I feel like it has a message in it for me, for you, and maybe even for you to share beyond just you and I. So the title, I'm sorry I'm a little sniffly today. I'm actually, it's one of my rest days, but I am recording this because I'm committed to staying consistent. And right after this, I will be snuggled in on my couch drinking some hot tea. So you might hear just a little bit of sniffles. So I do thank you for your patience in advance. Okay, so this one is called Imagine What You Want. What do you want? What do you want to create in your life? What situation do you want to live in? Describe the scenario. Imagine it. We can often have what we want, but we rarely take the time to imagine it. And imagination is the first step toward creativity. What do you want? What would it look like, feel like? Is what you're working so hard on what you really want? That relationship, that job, that home? If it is, go for it. If it's not, imagine and create something different. Begin with imagination. Imagine what you really want in your mind, and you've taken the first step toward creating it. If you don't know what you want, that's okay too. Ask the universe for help. Ask, and the universe will bring it to you in your highest good. Ask the universe to help you. Create exactly what you want and need. Trust the universe, and you will be trusting an honorable and benevolent friend. Isn't that lovely? So that's Journey to the Heart, and I'll make sure I include that book information in the show notes. So let's dive in today. Again, the title of today's conversation is Should You Take a Weekly Sabbatical? Now, this really speaks to the feminine metrics of success: pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. So today I want to talk about, well, what is a sabbatical? How would I do it if I wanted to do it? Why would I do it? And then how would I go about planning it? So I'm going to walk you through just a couple of simple steps. And then I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love for you to leave a review, leave a message, leave me a message on Instagram or Facebook letting me know your thoughts, because I think this is a conversation that is really worth having. We've been so programmed in how we show up to work. 40-hour work weeks, 80-hour work weeks, 60-hour work weeks. Who cares, right? I mean, time is a construction of the society that needs you to go to work, right? So if you have to work, which we all want to work and we love to work, but doing it our way means that we also get to define when we work, when it works for us. And so many innovative companies are now finding that if they can let their employees work during hours that serve them, that the work output and the quality of the work and the consistency of people staying with a company long term goes way up versus having the typical 9 to 5, 40-hour plus work week where people basically live for the weekends, and productivity is, hit or miss depending on the leadership and the management. So if you are listening to this, chances are you are either an entrepreneur, a leader, or you want to be. And I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was a full-time employee, so I understand that deeply. And I understand that maybe me asking you to think about taking a weekly sabbatical may have you just going, please, girl, you have no idea. And I would just push back and say, I'm not saying that you need to take an entire year off, right? I'm not saying you have to take a week off. I'm saying that there should be a time in your week, every week, on a consistent basis where you aren't working, thinking about working, or planning working. You're just being. And so let's talk about what a sabbatical is. If you happen to have never heard of that term, a sabbatical is a period of paid leave, normally granted to like a teacher or a worker, generally for study or travel. Traditionally, it's 1 year for every 7 years that they've been there. But sabbaticals have been talked about in movies. And so that terminology has definitely made its way into collective consciousness, where a sabbatical is like this deeply transformative time off where you're literally not doing any work. Now, you might have passive income set up. You might have an employee that you have to check in with once in a while, but you're essentially unplugged completely from anything. So I'm not saying you should take a yearly sabbatical or, one every 7 years, although doesn't that sound delicious? I'm definitely going to think about a way to do this. And I do take specific periods of time off during the year. And I help my clients do this in my Divine Self-Care Circle. And I teach this dream calendar workshop where we talk about this quite a bit, where we talk about putting in periods of deep rest, deep unplug, so that you can nourish and cultivate and curate your life and your creativity and your energy in a very powerful way. So the sabbatical that I'm talking about is really defined by you. It could be a time during the week where you plan ahead. And if you tell me you can't fit in at least an afternoon or an hour or two of complete unplugged time, I would say that your time management or your organizational skills really need to be looked at, because there's no reason for someone to be constantly working. In fact, your effectiveness, your return on investment on energy goes way down. There's lots of studies that show that even after 20 to 30 hours of weekly working, your productivity goes way down. And so it would benefit you to rest, because during rest, your brain, your heart, your spirit, your body renews, and you come back having actually absorbed what you've done, what you've learned, and taking it to the next level. Whereas if you constantly work, you simply don't get the benefits of incorporating that learning into past learning and creating something new. So we talked about this a little bit in past episodes, where we talked about the benefits of time off, unplug, like self-care dates, to actually benefit your work. So this is a very specific conversation about planning a weekly sabbatical where you are doing something for yourself that is completely unrelated to work, giving yourself full permission to just let that shit go. Just let it go. Because desperation and worry and stress do not create expansive abundance. They do not create synchronicities and resonance and magnetism and doors of opportunity opening unexpectedly, because you're just so focused, you get tunnel vision on what you're doing. So how in the world would you even think about taking a sabbatical if that's something that's piquing your interest, right? Even if it's just a couple of hours one time a week. First of all, there's 4 steps to it. First of all, number 1 is decide that you deserve it. Decide that you deserve it. Because you deserve to rest, not just when you're sick and not just when you're depleted, but on a regular basis. You've heard me talk about in the past, if you're a regular listener, if you took a cross-country trip in a car, it would never even occur to you to drive the entire distance without refueling, getting some snacks, getting some water, making a pit stop to go to the bathroom. It just wouldn't occur to you, because you know that the car would just burn up, right? It would just stop eventually because it wouldn't have gas. But think about how you're treating yourself and your body. You're pushing yourself to the brink. And eventually something's got to give. It's just how we function. And whether you have more energy and less energy, that's all a mental game. The part that you're going to be missing is the part where you're committing to a regular reset, a regular filling up of that gas tank, a regular nourishment where you are just letting yourself be, just be, without being someone who creates stuff for other people, right? Just be. So that's number 1. Number 2, trust that you will get a significant ROI and ROE. So what is that? ROI is return on investment. So when you invest time in rest and replenishment, your return on that investment is renewed energy, renewed enthusiasm, renewed faith, and just better energy, right? So ROE is return on energy. So since you are an energetic being, we're all made up of energy. If you're constantly pushing, you're going to run out of energy. So essentially you'll just be running on fumes, and then you're going to let all those negative thoughts take over, because when you're tired, when you're depleted, it's very easy to let that old habitual thinking of self-doubt and self-fear, or fear of possibilities, fear of you taking risks, to take over. But when you're well rested, you can implement better habits and better thought forms, and start to hear the fear and hear the doubt, but then knowing that you have the ability to choose your thoughts. So trust that you will get a significant return on investment and return on energy from choosing to take a weekly sabbatical in a way that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. Because I want to make sure that you not just say you're going to take it, but also take time to plan it out in a way that serves you and your life. So number 3 is, once you decide you deserve it, once you trust that you will get a significant ROI and ROE, that you claim it. And by claiming it means that you actually take time every week to look at your calendar and choose a time for your weekly sabbatical. Sometimes I call this a weekly self-care play date. Whatever you call it is fine. But the thing about a sabbatical is that you're actually doing less than a self-care play date. You're actually just being. And just being is the easiest and the most difficult thing to do and be, because you always feel like you have to do something, right? Even on the spiritual quest. Even when it comes to self-care, it's like, oh, I really need to go get that manicure. I need to go redo my altar. I need to go meditate. I need to go do something, right? But the sabbatical is even less than that. It's like, I'm just going to sit. I'm just going to breathe. I'm just going to sit here by the water or by a tree and just look at the water. Like, it's even less than what I teach when I teach my clients to do a self-care play date, when it's a very active engagement with the self-care process. And coming with the claiming with it is defending that time. So you decide you deserve it. You trust that you're going to get a huge, significant return on investment and return on your energy. And then you're going to claim it and defend that time fiercely. And step 4 of the how is to start noticing the effect, right? You're going to be like a scientist of your own life. You're going to do this sabbatical, you're going to try it, and then you're going to notice what the results are. Because once you start to notice the positive effects of doing a nothing sabbatical time, you're going to want to do more of it, because it's going to fuel whatever it is that you actually do want to create. So how do you plan on it and own it? I have 5 questions for you to ask yourself in the designing of your sabbatical, because if you don't really take time to think about it, you're just going to try it, you're going to get bored, and you're not going to really put the intentionality behind creating it that would serve you on a very high level. So as the leader that you are, I want you to really take time, because intention is everything. So I have 5 questions for you to ask yourself. So if you don't have a pen, go and grab a pen, or press pause and get a pen. But here are the 5 questions to ask yourself when you are designing your weekly sabbatical. Number 1 is, what am I craving most? What am I craving most? So for me, I've been asking myself that question. I ask myself on a regular basis. I've just been craving like silence, but the silence that's filled with like ocean sound or trees blowing in the wind. I just want to be. I just want to close my eyes and be in that darkness. So I'm definitely craving my own sabbatical time. The second question is, what would feel most playful? Because I want you to not take this so seriously. I want you to just approach this as you would anything new, but don't put so much emphasis on getting it right? I just want you to think about it like, I just want to sit on my couch with a cozy furry blanket and just like just not really do anything. Maybe have my journal nearby, maybe watch a show if I want to. Like, just don't overthink it. Like, what does your body want to just be? Does it want to be stillness? Does it want to be nature? Does it want to be bath time? What does it want to be? And start there. And then the third question is, what would feel naughty? What would feel naughty? And I say this because sometimes we're so concerned about being proper and correct. Like maybe your sabbatical is like being naked in bed all day. Like that's awesome. Maybe your sabbatical is going and getting a massage and just like really having a day of sensuality. Maybe it's going to pick out a new bra and just wearing it. I don't know. Whatever it is for you. Maybe it doesn't have to be sexual. Maybe it's about, going and taking yourself out to a beautiful dessert and just really not having your phone, not having your journal, and just tasting every bite. I don't know what it is for you, but I want you to think about what would make you feel naughty. And just let yourself play. Don't take this so seriously, right? Okay, number 4 is what would feed my soul? What would feed my soul? And with this one, take your time. Don't answer so quickly with any of these. What would feed my soul means that you're asking your soul a question. So create the spaciousness to do that. Take a deep breath. Put your hand on your heart. Close your eyes and say, what would feed my soul? And just listen. Even if it takes a few minutes for you to recognize her voice, just listen. Maybe you haven't connected with your soul in a while. Go ahead and take time and do that. And ask your soul how she would like to spend her sabbatical time. And maybe this becomes your soul sabbatical, a time when you spend time just reconnecting with your soul. Oh, that sounds so good. And number 5 is a very crucial question because this is going to determine whether you move forward or whether you this becomes another thing on your to-do list, which is absolutely not my goal. The 5th question of how to plan and own your weekly sabbatical is, can I commit to it with flexibility? So what this means is if you committed to Friday morning or Saturday afternoon or Sunday evening, whatever it is, and one week you're traveling and maybe your kid gets sick and you couldn't do it, can you just do it another time? Or just decide, you know what, it didn't work this week, but it's totally going to work next week. And not have an all or nothing mentality when it comes to your sabbatical. This is similar to how I hear so many clients talk about true self-care time, or even self-care play dates, or even meditation. Like, oh, I couldn't do it today, it didn't work out, I didn't feel good, that means I'm not going to do it. And they psych themselves out. So don't do that to yourself. Don't psych yourself out before you even begin. So can you commit with flexibility? Because life happens. All right, my love, I'm going to do a quick review of should you take a weekly sabbatical. So first of all, how you take a sabbatical is you decide you deserve it. Number 2 is you trust you will get a significant return on investment and return on energy. Number 3 is you claim it and defend that time fiercely. And number 4 of the how is you notice the effects of sabbatical time on other parts of your life and work and relationships. And then the planning part of it, planning to own your sabbatical, is taking time to really ask yourself these 5 questions. What am I craving most? What would feel playful? What would feel naughty? What would feed my soul? And can I commit with flexibility? So those are the questions that I really want you to spend some time with. And if this sort of ignited your curiosity about taking a sabbatical, then now is the absolute perfect time to do that, because we have so much going on. We have so much in our lives that demand our attention, our focus, our energy, our time, our money, that this is one of those things that you would do for yourself that will, again, give you that significant return on investment and energy in a way that'll make everything else feel so much more lit up, doable, and possible. So I'd love to hear from you, whether you're going to try the sabbatical, and then when you do, I'd love to hear how it went for you. And you can do that by leaving a review on the podcast, which I would so adore. Thank you so much for all the reviews that you've been leaving already. I read every one of them, and I didn't read one today, but I will read some of the new ones next episode. I appreciate it so deeply. This is definitely work of my soul and my heart. And when I get the feedback, it just lets me know that it's being received well. So thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really love it if you would leave that review. Go ahead and share it with your community, and maybe get together a couple of girlfriends and decide that you're going to do a sabbatical together, like either together or commit to it together. And then just be playful with it and brainstorm around how you want to do that. Maybe answer those 5 questions together. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a total honor to have this conversation with you. And now I'm going to go have some tea and do nothing. That's right. I'll see you on next week's episode of Meditations and Musings. Take care. Thank you so much for listening and learning about the new divine self-care way of being in your life, business, and the bedroom based on the divine feminine metrics of success, pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. If you're ready to bust the myth of overwhelm and tap into an inspired start to each day, I've put together a free video series for you to help you start each day with energy, inspiration, and ignite that inner pilot light which attracts joy, magic, and synchronicity. You can access my 3-step magic morning practice to help you ignite your inner light and attract the abundance that you're craving. Head on over to elenalipson.com/gift. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would so love if you share it with a friend, a sister, a mother, a daughter, and please leave a review. That is how the magic starts to ripple out. Here's wishing you a day full of beauty, magic, and divine self-care. I'll see you next time at the Meditations and Musings podcast.